Hello everyone and welcome back to the Forge. Now today we're going to be taking on the B&B Forge, let's see here, 2020 Toilet Paper Railroad Spike Apocalyptic Challenge. Now he issued this challenge here a few weeks ago and we're going to be doing our take on it today. I'm a knife guy. I like to do swords and knives. The rule stated you had to use one railroad spike at least, which we have right here. Sticking with the post-apocalyptic theme, I'm going to be utilizing this giant piece of rebar right here. I believe this is a 1-inch piece of grade 60 rebar. And it should be a nice easy steel to work with. As you can tell on the picture here, we're going to be going with a Katana style blade. I'm going to be using a railroad spike for the spacer right here, railroad spike for the Tsuba, and railroad spike for the pommel, which I hope to make look like a skull. So let's go ahead and get this tossed into the forge and get to work. So it'll be a lot of fun. Let's get after it. Alright, we got our piece of steel all flattened out and ready. Got more than enough to work with. I'm going to take this over to the metal cutting bandsaw. We're going to chop it off about right there and start working this tang portion. And we're not too far off. Once we get the point forged in, we're down to about the right thickness. Get some things straightened up. We will be all set. Move on down the road. Alright, let's get back at it.
To the mountain.
Alright, we've got everything laid out here. We've got more than enough metal to work with. I placed a mark here. This is where I'm going to start the tang at. And then right up here at the front, actually ended up being just a hair longer than I originally had planned. We're going to go ahead and cut our tip in here, give it a preform and grind it in. And then we'll be ready to go ahead and move on to cleaning up the perimeter and the profile and start getting ready for our heat treat, at which point we will move our attention over to our railroad spikes for our pommel and for our spacer and for our guard. I may put another piece down here on the bottom. So with that being said, let's go ahead and jump on the grinder and get to work.
Too long. Send the air that I breathe, oh, it's in the trees.
Alright, so now we're going to turn our attention to the pommel, Tsuba, and spacer. I'm going to forge all these pieces out of at least one railroad spike, may end up using two. I'm going to try my best to keep the railroad spike head look here on the pommel because I'd like to turn that into a skull. We'll see if we can or not. But we're going to start first with the Tsuba because I need to get it about a 2-inch square at least or more. I'm going to take a good portion here out of the center of this spike and go ahead and start forging that out. So let's get the press fired up, get this tossed in the forge, and get to work. Alright, this is where we currently are so far. We have our katana here forged completely out. I've got the bevels rough ground in a little bit. I'm going to have to come back and do some more work before heat treat. The blade's still pretty thick. This is our railroad spike that we used right here. This will be our pommel piece that I plan on trying to put that skull on. This right here is our upper spacer. It's forged out of one part of the main shaft of the spike. And this will be our Tsuba or handguard. It is forged out of the main shaft of the railroad spike. And so I'll probably end up making one more spacer to go down to the bottom that will sit on top of this pommel area. And then we can of course do the handle and the wrapping and everything else. But so far everything's going great. We've got all the components. So next we're going to move on to cleaning these parts up and getting ready to slot this and get it ready for fit up on the blade. Alright, here's where we are so far. I used the milling machine to slot the hole in what will become our handle. I got it glued together. It fits on the tang perfectly. We've got our upper spacer roughed in, and I have welded the lower spacer to the railroad spike head that's going to be used for our pommel. The reason I did that was because the way that I had forged the railroad spike head after cutting it off, it was a little bit too thin, and I would have had to have ran the thread through the outside of this, which kind of, in my opinion, would have ruined the look of the skull. So all of our components are ready. I even got these little pieces of brass right here. I flattened out a brass fitting from the store. We're going to make these into our Menuki. My wife's going to carve them with a rotary carver. But as we sit right now, we're going to turn our attention to this pommel and the skull. I'm going to go in with the grinder and grind in the profile, and then I will finish it up with a rotary carver. So with that being said, let's get set up and get to moving along. Alright, there's our outline. Let's go get it cut in. Alright, we've got all of our components finished up. Got some red leather here that I got off an old jacket that we're going to use to put over the wooden part of the handle here. We're going to be using a black leather wrap. Got our pommel, our spacer, our Menuki that my wife carved out, and there's the Tsuba. So we're all set. Let's get this put together so we can finish this sword up and show you what it looks like. This is how our katana turned out. I think this ought to work out good in procuring more toilet paper or being able to defend my toilet paper stash. I appreciate you for joining us today. If you would hit that subscribe button, and remember to hit the notifications tab as well as ring the bell to be notified of our newest content as it posts. We appreciate you very much, and you have a good one. We'll catch you on the next one. Bye-bye.